The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
The world knows all about Reefer Madness, but now it's time to learn about Kiefer Madness.
Whoa.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And hey, we're not here without you, the fans, and we're also not here without the sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Just bet on Kiefer Sherwood, baby. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Kyle, no one in the NHL really wanted this guy for some reason because on July 1st, 2024, the Vancouver Canucks signed Kiefer Sherwood to a minuscule 2-year deal paying him $1.5 million per season. Quinn Hughes was the biggest fan of the deal at the time, pumping this guy's tires to no end. And right now, the rest of the NHL is learning why Kiefer Sherwood is Quinn Hughes' favorite player. And hey, he might be becoming your favorite player as well. So let's talk about it. How the hell did Kiefer Sherwood go from unwanted to not just a solid contributor to the Canucks, but in my mind, the second best player on the Canucks so far this season?
Whoa.
Let's touch on his rise. Let's touch on Brock Boeser potentially returning to the lineup. Where does this guy slot in? And we'll also get to our GOATs of the week as we do every Monday. Before we do that, let me introduce my co-host, Kyle Bhawan. Is Kiefer Sherwood the best 44 to slap on a Canucks jersey since Todd Bertuzzi?
Wow. I mean, who else would be wearing that jersey?
It was Kyle Burrows.
Okay. Anyways, why are we talking about those guys? Okay, Kiefer Sherwood is a lethal weapon. He really is. And I'm getting closer and closer to realizing that this dude potentially raises the ceiling of this team, not just the floor. And I know it's only game 19 and it's so early and blah, blah, blah. And you don't want to over-exaggerate, right? You don't want to over-project some of these players. You want to be honest, right? You want to assess. You want to make moves. You want to get better. But Kiefer Sherwood is that guy. You know why I know that he's that guy? Because, again, Quinn Hughes co-signed Kiefer Sherwood and this signing after Kiefer Sherwood's playoff performance. So I don't think he's going to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is him. This is that guy. I also think it's a bit of a surprise that we've gotten Kiefer Sherwood the leader. You know what I'm saying? The face of the franchise. Again, he's not the face of the franchise, but he's being used as one. Top line minutes. He's in all the media propaganda as well. Like, this is the best bargain in hockey. Best bargain in hockey. And the fact that he signed a 2-year deal, that means that this guy's going to try his ass off for the next 170 games. Okay? He give you his most with the blue and green because he deserves more. He really does. What a player. What an outlier. What a glue piece. And Trevor, do you want to elaborate more on this whole leadership aspect that I'm trying to point out? Because I think in times of distress, and the Canucks have faced a lot of that through the first 20 games of the season, with players missing, it's been such a blessing to have, again, Kiefer Sherwood be one of those guys. You know what I'm not just like a complimentary piece. Like, he seems like he's a locker room guy. And I didn't know we were getting that early on in his Canucks tenure.
100%. And I think I got a quote from Rick Tocchet. He alluded to the exact same thing that you're saying, Kyle. And this is a quote from a couple weeks ago. And Tocchet said, Sherwood's been a bright spot with our team because he just adds that juice, baby, whether it's OJ, whether it's cranberry. Okay, that ain't part of the quote. But he says, it goes on to say, even when our team's a little quiet, Sherwood's there chirping on the bench. He's getting people that usually don't talk much on our bench talking. It's contagious. I talked to him in the summer 3 or 4 times, and he says he has some offense to his game, and you can see that he has it. So as Tocchet alludes to, he's bringing the offense, he's bringing the skill, but he's also bringing an element that the Canucks lack, and that's maybe a bit of leadership and maybe not something we expected from a guy who, again, has less than 200 NHL career games to his name still at the age of 29. Surpassed it. Okay, he's at 206 career games now. And again, he's going to be 30 years old before this season's over. So Not a guy that's been in the NHL a long time, but a guy who's been around hockey for a long time. One of the older players on this team as well.
Yeah.
And again, he's which is crazy to think about, but he is bringing these leadership qualities to the Canucks. Not just with the chirping as well, but by leading on the ice. Again, he's just out there putting in 110% effort on every shift. I mean, look, the Ottawa Senators, anyone from their team could have been inspired by that guy on Saturday night. Holy, I know you touched on that in the post-game show, Kyle. Go check that out if you haven't already here on Locked On Canucks. But Sherwood's, again, bringing on the bench. He's bringing on the ice. He's bringing the locker room. I mean, this guy has been just absolute found money for the Vancouver Canucks. And like I said, the second best player on the Canucks this season so far.
Found money and a Nikita Zadorov replacement. I know Canucks fans, some of them get pissed off by that name being brought up. Hey, we're facing Boston tomorrow, okay? Get used to it, all right? But again, just talking about his swagger and the tenacity that he brings on the bench, the chirps, just able to be a glue guy. And again, based on the report, right? The facts, no Demko, no Boeser, no Miller, etc. Right? The Canucks needed a guy like this. Again, he's on pace for like 500 plus hits, may get to 20 goals. He scored a lot of nice goals already this season as well. On that note, I did love his goal against Ottawa. Just being the man, being the alpha in the crease, making sure that goal went into the net. Also, a lot of skill on that DeBrusque play as well. It's beautiful. It really is. You got to get those guys playing way above value, and Kiefer Sherwood is definitely one of those guys. Now, Trevor, let me touch on this, though, okay? Let me be a little pessimistic right now. Do you think he's doing too much right now? Or do you want him to save some of this gas for April and May? Because how can this guy's shoulders survive this type of output? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, like in my mind, he doesn't have to go and break the hit record. That's not what's important, but I don't think he's really got to lay up, to be honest with you. It might come naturally just based on who he's playing with or game script in certain situations, but I think this is this guy's identity, and we've seen it throughout his hockey. Like, for people who don't know the background about Kiefer Sherwood, he was never, for the most part, and it's the same with a lot of guys who make the show, he was the top scorer on his team at a number of levels in junior. I mean, look, this guy in the AHL even was, I think he had something like 129 points in 100-ish games. He spent 2 or 3 years in the AHL, like absolutely tearing it up down there.
Yeah.
So he's almost always been an offensive guy, and it was over the past couple of seasons that he decided that he needed to become more of an energy guy in the NHL. And that was really when he broke in with the Nashville Predators a couple of seasons ago. So again, for a guy who's going to be 30 in March, it was really only the age of like 27, 28 that he really changed his game. So I think it's his identity now. I don't see this guy really slowing down, and I don't think he really needs to.
Yeah. Maybe he just has that juice, right? Like, he's playing for so much, just adapting, evolving, and just being impactful. You know, that's what I love about this too. His swagger, the way he comes off to the media, you can see that he relishes more opportunity and being one of those guys, being one of those dogs. And to get a guy like that for, again, 1.5 per year is remarkable. Keep in mind, you know, Beggsy from the jump loved this deal, like Quinn Hughes. Satir Shah projected that this guy would be the next Pavel Bure. So there have been a couple of smart people out here, you know, that kind of knew that there was way more to Sherwood's game. And I, for one, you know, would have been happy if he just gave us, like, you know, Tater Tot Mott, aka Tyler Mott, like effort, you know, when we got what we got from him in the bubble season. And I would have been content with that, you know, because I watched the Nashville series too, and I see a lot of hardworking players in April and May, you know, especially in the first round of the playoffs. But I wasn't convinced we'd get more, but we've gotten way, way more. And you know what? I should have believed you more and Satir Shah, based on the notion again that Quinn Hughes, like he calls Patrick Allvin and says, "Yo, voila, you did it. You that man. You identified the guy in free agency." And again, Kiefer Sherwood, definitely, like, he's got to be top 5, top 10 most impactful signings from July 1st. So what a grab, what a steal. And I want you to touch on this now. Like, what do you think the other NHL teams were doing? Like, they weren't watching Predators games. Like the Predators couldn't find $1.6 million in their bank account to keep a guy like this? Because every NHL team needs a guy like this. And bro, tomorrow we're about to see some pay-per-view-ish too. Boston, Zadorov, Boston, Marchand. Like, it's just Boston in general. Like, Kiefer Sherwood was just getting started, in my opinion. Because, again, he's relishing the opportunity that he's getting. He's playing with Elias Pettersson, the best player on the Canucks right now. We could, this streak that he's on could get going for another couple of weeks, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be an interesting conversation that we're going to have on the other side about Brock Boeser, who seems like he's likely to return against the Boston Bruins and where he slots into the lineup. So we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But in terms of Sherwood, I mean, look, he's just not a guy that had a lot of pedigree, and that's why the Canucks were able to soup him up for not much in free agency, right? Look, he played 68 games for the Predators in 2023-24. Aside from that, the most NHL games he played in a season was 50 back in 2018-19 with the Anaheim Ducks. Like, this has been a guy who's routinely bounced around from the AHL to the NHL, on again, off again. So, I mean, he almost, he basically doubled his NHL games output last year compared to what he did even like the 4 seasons prior. So, again, that was why the Canucks got him for so cheap. But look, the interesting thing about the Kiefer Sherwood signing to me is that Kiefer Sherwood, in some ways, you might find this weird, is bringing everything that we thought Daniel Sprong was going to bring. What? Hear me out for a second.
Whoa.
Everything, Daniel Sprong, we thought this guy was going to come in and be, points per 60. He was going to be one of the leaders in the NHL. Like, he was going to play 12 minutes a night and, pile up all these points. Obviously, never got the opportunity to that in Vancouver. Right now, Kiefer Sherwood is doing exactly that. So, Kiefer Sherwood has 12 points so far this season. They're all at even strength. So, those 12 even strength points leads the Canucks. Elias Pettersson and a couple others are tied with 10 points. And again, Kiefer Sherwood is playing in less minutes. Overall, across the NHL, he has 3.25 points per 60. That is, again, for those who wonder, like, what the hell does that even mean? About 2 points per 60 is considered a top line rate and is starting to inch up. So Kiefer Sherwood's been one of the best damn players in the NHL this season at even strength. He ranks 17th overall among NHLers with 3.25 points per 60s. And yeah, first overall on your Vancouver Canucks. So Kiefer Sherwood, he's doing the Daniel Sprong thing in terms of offensive efficiency, but he's also doing the Dakota Joshua thing in terms of just chucking the body around. I mean, this guy's just been so solid for the Canucks. And to me, one of the best and biggest takeaways from the first 20 games has just been the success of Kiefer, the Reefer Sherwood.
And he tied an NHL record for the most 10-hit games in an NHL season. We're in game 19, game 20. And again, before we get to the other side, just know that, like, we need this guy. It's like so much so, especially early on in the season, like, we needed this guy to get through the first quarter of the season with the record the Canucks have. Like, again, it's Quinn Hughes and it's Kevin Lankinen at parts, and it's been Elias Pettersson over the last 7 games. But Kiefer Sherwood and Connor Garland, like, those two guys, again, are they even 6 feet? Is Kiefer Sherwood 6 foot tall? Like, I don't even know. Like, he plays kind of hunched down and just the nose to the ice, but we've gotten such value from, again, Garland and Sherwood that it's allowing me to think that our ceiling is actually higher than we believe. And I know it's been a quote unquote, for some, a mediocre start. But if we're coming out of the first quarter of the season with, again, Pettersson warming up, maybe getting healthier, but also having Sherwood and Garland be way better than expected, again, the Canucks, their forward group, I just feel as if it's set in stone and they can just focus their asset management on defensemen, which it's a hack. We're ahead of the game. Much appreciated. Good work, Patrick Alvin. You can't hit them all. We've been complaining about Forbert Darnay. We complained about Mikheyev a lot. But, when you get one of the guys like Sherwood to sign up and to do so at his value, like, this is why you got to be patient with Patrick Alvin. Like, what a job well done.
Well, it's the Florida Panthers motto, right? And obviously that culminated in a cup win last year. I mean, the Florida Panthers took a number of dart throws at guys, paying them $1 million, $2 million a season, grabbing them off waivers, and a lot of them didn't work. But the ones that did work absolutely worked and hit it out of the park, right? In terms of the Forslings, the Verhaeghes, players of that mold. And it looks like Kiefer Sherwood could have that kind of impact for the Vancouver Canucks. And yeah, we'll get to it later on in the show. More Reefer Sherwood talk in the GOATs of the Week rankings. But again, for my money, he's been the second best player on the Canucks this season behind Quinn Hughes. Another player that's been up there has been Brock Boeser. Unfortunately, he's been missing for a couple weeks, but could be back tomorrow against Boston. Where does he slot into the lineup? We'll touch on that on the other side after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Oh, you know the deal, baby. Whether it's NFL, whether it's NHL, make sure you go check out FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL and NHL all in one place, baby. And like I said last week, bet on the Seahawks to beat the Cardinals, and they get the job done. Kyle, you guys, your Packers got a bit of an easy peasy lemon squeezy walk in the park against Brandon Allen and the 49ers.
Yeah.
So thank you. But thanks for doing my team a favor, man. I appreciate that.
No worries.
If you're placing bets tomorrow, the Vancouver Canucks are underdogs against the Boston Bruins, plus 106 on the money line. So if you're believing the Canucks can upset the Bruins, if you want to call it that, make sure you'll place that bet on FanDuel. Again, check them out at FanDuel.com. You bet $5 and you can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
One love. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about the most popular Vancouver Canucks player of all time, potentially, okay? Kiefer Sherwood, the West Coast, the best coast of Canada. They love a hockey player like this. Also, the West Coast, the best coast of Canada. Come on. The Reefer, the Kiefer, the Sherwood. Come on. We're gonna have to... They're going to have to name a strain after this dude, okay? Shout out to THC 604 because he deserves it. He deserves it. Before we talk more about Brock Boeser, though, and his potential return and who he's going to play with potentially because there's no Miller and whatnot and all that jazz. One more note on Sherwood, or one more question. Like, how surprised are you in his ability to have some swag, like to be one of those guys in the lineup? Like, a big part of me thought he was just gonna like fit in the bottom six and not say a word, but he's been, again, one of the faces of the franchise early on this season. It's a blessing. I can't believe we got this guy. And just based on the research that you've done before on Kiefer Sherwood prior to July 1st, did you know that this guy had a personality, that he had this type of glue type of ability with the team? Because that is so important, especially, again, on a team that's dealing with a lot.
I'm not surprised by his moxie for a couple of reasons. And look, let me point out this one of the quotes that he had from a couple of weeks ago, and talking about how he had to kind of find this identity as a banger and a crasher, and the motivation to work hard. And he said, this is a quote from Ian McIntyre. He said, "In Nashville, my first year, I thought I was finally ready to be an everyday player in the NHL. And then I got sent down to the minors and kind of lost my way a little bit. That's when I had to figure out what identity I needed to bring. That was a really tough time, but I tried to use it as more fuel to the fire. I really worked hard on just trying to understand how to be impactful and what kind of energy to bring that's going to help the team. It's not always about producing points. For a guy like me, I'm not going to be getting power play or top 6 minutes. So it's about contributing and finding a way to be impactful and help the team win games." I mean, look, the guy brought the work ethic. He brought the identity of a bottom six guy. And what is it culminated in? Power play time and a time on the Canucks' goddamn top line alongside Elias Pettersson. I mean, just been a crazy turn of events for Kiefer Sherwood. And just kind of even look at some of the numbers here, right? I mean, look at early on. So in his first NHL season with Anaheim, he has 79 hits in 50 games. He kind of averages maybe like a little over a hit a game throughout the next few seasons. And then, in Nashville, he gets sent down. He gets called back up. He finished that season with 103 hits in 32 games, 234 hits in 68 games last season. And now he's just on pace to obliterate NHL records, 125 hits in 19 games. So it was really with the Nashville Predators, and, just looking at the game log, he did get sent down pretty early on. And he can just learn to be, a hardworking guy who bangs and crashes. And so I think that's one reason. And the other one, I know I'm going on a lot about Kiefer the Reefer because he deserves it, baby. But another reason why I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I don't know if many people know this, I learned about it doing the research. He's actually a player of Japanese descent, and not many players of Japanese descent in the NHL. And he talked about, his mom has apparently came over to the US from Japan when she was 19, didn't know any English, had to, work her way from, how to build a career from nothing, and kind of gave the message to Sherwood and his brother that they could do anything they set their minds to. So again, I think he's got the motivation in his own family, and being in a league where, let's be real, there's a lot of white dudes, and Kiefer Sherwood's come in, and he's certainly just he's one of the toughest players out there on the ice, man. So incredible story, man, and easily, Kyle, kudos to you too. You brought up who's going to be a fan favorite this season, an episode we did kind of in September, and you had Kiefer Sherwood on that list, and I think he's the fan favorite so far this season in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, we just appreciate the effort, man. That's why everyone loves Garland too, right? It's very rare. Like, again, I'd love to look back at the shifts, shift by shift, all season long through 19 games. Like, I feel as if I wouldn't find one shift in there where those two players were taking a shift off. That's a beautiful thing. That's culture, man. And that's the difference between us and the Ottawa Senators, for real. But that's a conversation for another day. A mature team versus an immature team. And yeah, just a blessing that Alvin was able to find guys that could just fit the puzzle, fit the culture, and not hold us back. Speaking about fitting the puzzle, Brock Boeser, his return is imminent, right? That's a key word in the Canucks world, right? Imminent. Demko back soon, imminently. I think that's what Dreger said. Anyways, Boeser back ASAP, pretty much, maybe tomorrow. But it's gonna look weird with him, aka the puzzle's gonna look strange or stranger than it has in recent history with Boeser in the lineup because there's no Miller. So I think the obvious choice is to have him with Suter, right? I feel like those two as two-way forces could do their thing, and then you move Bluger up with Garland and Joshua again. Like, am I onto something here?
No, I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I mean, Boeser and Suter have had some success in the past. Bluger's had success with Joshua and Garland, and then you keep the first line together of Sherwood, DeBrusk, and Pettersson. And I mean, when I heard about Boeser coming back, I mean, my inclination, and I've wanted to see this for some time, so it's a bit selfish, but I still would love to see DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Boeser together. And I'd like to see them together for a stretch at some point, especially if Miller's not going to be back anytime soon. That being said, I think, how can you take Sherwood off the top line right now? He's absolutely earned to be there. That line has been just so solid. They've been driving the Canucks for the past couple of games. If Boeser comes back against Boston, I don't think you can touch that line. So, Kyle, I would lean with you. Put Bluger with Joshua and Garland. Put Heinen with Suter and Boeser, and then keep DeBrusk, Petey, and Sherwood together.
And what would that do? That would leave Ratu, Höglander, and Sasan. I think Bains is going to get the healthy scratch. Because
Sasan deserves it. I think Sasan played a really good game against the Senators there.
Dude, okay. And again, I'm excited to have Boeser back. It's going to be really interesting to see him play without Miller. I think there could be some wiggle room there for him to even be more of a driver himself, right? He's been good all season long, but maybe, he's excited to get back in the lineup and just carry some of the weight. Some players like that responsibility, right? Like, even you're seeing it in Pettersson. Like, look at the pep in his step ever since Miller's, not been there. He's doing the most. And right now, the Canucks need to do the most if they want to just be, I don't want to say above water because their record is 10-6-3. Like, they're doing their thing. But, just to keep that record to a point where you're still at par with the Oilers and the Calgary Flames and the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, you want to do your thing. And it's still possible without Miller. Again, if everyone pulls their weight, including the big guys. That being said, like, can we just touch on Arshdeep Bains a bit? We got to do it. Arshdeep Bains, one of my favorite, Surrey's own, doing his thing. Why do you feel as if he's still so tentative out there? Like, there was a play in Ottawa where they go in on the forecheck. It's maybe like 40 seconds into a shift, which is a long NHL shift, I know. But there's two guys in the corner, including two Canucks players. Arshdeep Bains is one of those guys. But what he does is just turn around and jet right to the bench while the puck's in the corner, leaving like a little 1-on-2 there. I feel as if that has less to do with his awareness and more so to do with like his lack of confidence. Like, I feel like he's still playing like a rookie. And that's why he's going to be a healthy scratch tomorrow. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's twofold for Arshdeep Bains. Like you said, I do think it's a confidence thing. I also think he's just like a nice guy, right? Team first guy.
Yeah.
He knows that he's a fourth line guy. Like, let's get the other guys out on the ice. So instead of believing in himself, I think he's kind of passing the buck. Oh, 100%. Like, I think it comes from a good place, but I do see a guy that's like, again, team first. Like, I'm going to get to the bench and let the players higher up the line to get their ice time. The other thing to me that stands up with Arshdeep Bains is that, he's a smart player. He's cerebral, but he also just lacks foot speed. Like, he does seem to me like one of the slowest players out there on the ice when he is playing. So, again, that's a tough fit. It's something Ratu really worked on this summer. I think that's a better part of his game so far. But I think just Arshdeep Bains just seems like a step behind the plate a lot of the times right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting note. And just in general, you just want to see him take the bull by the horns here because he gets a lot of opportunity, man. And I think he has a base layer of skill to be that guy, like to give you similar type of output from like a Danton Heinen point of view. But his ability to, again, be so tentative is going to hold him back. And I guarantee Taka doesn't like that because what are you doing leaving one of your forecheckers alone in a 1-on-2 scrum when you're in there just because you want to make a line change? It just, like, I've seen that many times from him. And it's some rookie unconfident type energy, and he's gonna have to step that up, or a guy like Max Sasson is taking his place as far as like being a first call up option on the wing. because you kind of know what you're getting with Sasan. I know it's early on in Sasan's career and all that, but he just made a beautiful play on that Bluger goal, and you could see kind of him being more confident just in general, him being more relaxed out there. I think that's the key word. Arshdeep Bains, relax a little, okay? Before we get to the third part of the show, though, if we're going to talk about Surrey's own and Arshdeep Bains, I know you're on a really big date with your wife on Saturday. Beautiful times, love is in the air. It's hard to have that time with your wife, right? When you have kids and whatnot, but got that solo dolo time. But knowing you, because you're so addicted to hockey, you're paying more attention to the game against the Ottawa Senators, her favorite team, than you are her. And I'm sure you noticed Noah Juleson being way better than Vincent Desharnais. I know it took us a while, but I feel like Noah Juleson's warming up again. And I'm not saying that this guy's going to give us top 4 minutes, 18 minutes a game like he did so on Saturday, but that's the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a guy who's way better than Vincent Desharnais. Another example of why we didn't need him. All in all, though, were you impressed with Juleson's game? Because I was. We needed him to be good that game, and he was really good.
Yeah, I think he stepped up in a big moment, obviously, almost getting in 20 minutes with Hughes out of the lineup. For me, with Noah Juleson, I still want to pump the tires a bit because, Kyle, you mentioned it. Ottawa just looked like a sad sack Anaheim Ducks-esque team on a Saturday night. So I think, Noah Juleson easily passed the test. I do think he's a better player than Desharnais. I'm not going to go out and say he's way better, but he's certainly more cost-effective than Desharnais, and I think that's the crux of the Desharnais issue. No issues on the other side. Let's get to our goats of the week after we shouted our friends over at PrizePicks. Oh, you know the deal. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action, baby. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. The PrizePicks, they've done it. They've made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. And guess what? You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. I've never been right about 4 straight things at once before, but maybe you could on PrizePicks, okay? And you know the way to do it? Just bet the overs on Kiefer Sherwood, over the goals, over the assists, over the points, and definitely over the hits. Boom, bam. You're going to win 100 times your money on PrizePicks, okay? Not only that, but PrizePicks, if you sign up today, you'll get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, baby. So go download that PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's time to run your game.
Run your game. Okay, we back. We doing this. Talking about your Vancouver Canucks, right? A team that just beat the Ottawa Senators a couple days ago. A sad sack team, as Trevor alluded to. Again, I hopped on the post-game show with Ross and Brandon. Those guys are depressed right now. Straight up. They really are. And you know what, Trevor? Before we get to your goats of the week, I just want to brag about that a bit more because wasn't it you and I 15 months ago who said that the Canucks are going to win a Stanley Cup before the Senators? And, we got ridiculed for it from some people because both teams kind of sucked and Ottawa just had, more better young players per quantity, not the quality sake, but more quantity when it came to those type of guys. And remember what I said? Remember how I was like, yo, Ross and Brandon, your team may have trouble getting out of the hole because your team has already rewarded all these young guys with fat contracts before they started winning games. It's so hard to win games in the NHL, and you can just see that team is so comfortable, so comfortable. And on that note, Trevor slapped me in the face. I know it was a gutsy win and whatnot, and I was really proud of the boys based on not having Hughes, Boeser, Demko, and Miller, and they got the job done. But again, I'm just not content with wins against bad teams because I'm so desperate to beat good teams, and we still got to wait a little while to play the Minnesota Wild and whatnot, and get a good team in front of us. Because again, I feel as if the Canucks have only beaten one good team all season long. But all in all, Trevor, do you think I deserve a slap in the face and I should just be grateful in general for any type of dub this time of the season?
I'll say that I'm not quite sure if you deserve a slap in the face, but how about this? I'm hitting the button, and if you don't get it right, I'll slap you in the face. How about that, buddy?
Trevor's trivia starts now.
All right, we hit this button from time to time. The Trevor's Trivia button, Kyle. We talked about it earlier on, but there's been a number of guys that have worn the number 44 since Todd Bertuzzi left Vancouver. We mentioned one of them, Kyle Burrows, another Kiefer Sherwood. Man, if you could name 2 other players that have worn 44 since Todd Bertuzzi, there are 9 of them overall. I won't slap you in the face. How about that?
There's 9 other players that wore 44. Is that what you're telling me?
9 players since Todd Bertuzzi have worn 44. We've
Holy
listed the
crap.
last 2 already, Kyle Burrows and Kiefer Sherwood. Can you name 2 of the other 7?
Damn. Did Nolan Baumgartner wear 44?
Yeah,
No.
there we go. That's
Okay.
one. That's one. There we go.
There you go. I'm that guy. I'm that dog, bro. I don't even, okay, like 44 is just a crazy number. Like who else 44 since 05, 06? Like, I'm not gonna get this, bro. I'm really, really sorry. Like, I'm really, really sorry. Like, you gotta go through this list. It's gonna be a delay if I just give me. I got a big one. Nolan Baumgartner was a huge one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, and I'll slap you in the face after the show. Ready?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. So really, this number was where all the bad Canucks defensemen, the Jim Benning era, apparently just all wore 44. So Baumgartner wore in 2010, then Andrew Gordon, Pascal Pelletier, a couple AHLers wore for a couple of games. Then it was Adam Clendenning, Matt Bartkowski, Eric Branson, and then Tyler Gravevac wore it, then Kyle Burrows and Kiefer Sherwood. So Kiefer Sherwood bringing respect back to the 44. And guess what? He's also making an appearance on our Goats of the Week list, baby. Man, oh man, let's get to it. The Canucks Goats of the Week. We do this every week here on Locked On Canucks. Every Monday, we talk about the 5 best Canucks from last week, and then we score them. And we'll get to the overall Goat rankings here in a second. But from last week, I actually struggled with number 5 on this list. So I'm giving an honorable mention to Eric Brandstrom. Okay, Eric Brandstrom. He led the Canucks Canucks defensemen, I should say, in even strength ice time against the Ottawa Senators in Quinn Hughes' absence. Eric Brandstrom has just continued to step up. So he's an honorable mention. But number 5, I have Connor Garland. Connor Garland led Canucks forwards in terms of even strength ice time, as he almost always does against the Ottawa Senators. Has a sick goal against the Rangers. Birth of a baby boy. Oh, yeah, then he flies across the continent, and then he has another assist against the Ottawa Senators on Saturday. So Connor Garland, incredibly solid. He gets back on the Goats of the Week ranking. Number 4, I have Filip Hronek. Okay, Filip Hronek. This guy gets a lot of heat about how, he's just kind of playing caddy to Quinn Hughes. But to me, Filip Hronek stepped up in a big way against the Ottawa Senators. Didn't look out of place on the power play. Was on the ice for 3 goals, 0 goals against. Played 27 and a half minutes. Was double shifting. He's basically playing with Carson Soucy and Eric Brandstrom on and off throughout the night. Filip Hronek, I think, to me, deserves some credit for how he performed in Quinn Hughes' absence. And overall, it's just been a really strong defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks. And number 3, 2, and 1. Let's just get into it quickly because it's the top line for the Vancouver Canucks. Number 3, Jake DeBrusk. 3 points against the Ottawa Senators, including a couple of goals on Saturday night. Number 2, I have Elias Pettersson. He's back, baby, and he had 4 assists in 2 games this week. And number one is Kiefer Sherwood, baby. The key for the reefer, piling up the points, looking like a stud on the top line. And, chucking his body around like he just doesn't care about it, man. Oh, baby.
Yeah. No, that you know what? That's a great top 5. It really is. And we spent so much time already talking about Sherwood. Why don't we just touch on the whole DeBrusk thing? A couple days ago after the Rangers game, I'm upset. I'm hurt. I'm dark. Even though the effort was good, I just felt as if I was losing some patience 18 games into the season with Jake DeBrusk because it's more evident now that we need him. We need him. Again, I don't want the Canucks to be floating around 500. Okay, I want them to do the most. I still feel as if without Miller, without Demko and stuff, they can still be a good regular season team with their stables and whatnot if they get timely goal scoring from some of their big guys, and not named Kiefer Sherwood. You signed Jake DeBrusk for 7 years at whatever amount of money, and you're like, okay, I get it. The playoffs, DeBrusk, watch the highlights. That's when he really turns it on and he saves all the juice for that moment. But right now, I feel as if it's a big moment for him to be one of those guys, one of those dogs, and we need some goal scoring from him. And look at what he did against Ottawa. Scored 2 goals, could have had 3. Going back to Boston tomorrow. I just hope that, again, he can carry a lot of the load that's missing from Miller. Okay? Why not? Just turn it on right now. And then when Miller comes back, do your thing. Save your juice for the playoffs. But we need Jake DeBrusk right now. And Filip Hronek, man, I didn't really talk about this much on Saturday because it just overwhelmed with a lot of things. Had to hop on 2 shows, blah, blah, blah. But just to see him be a dog against the Senators, you know what I'm saying? Not having Hughes and just being used in every single defensive situation, playing 28 minutes. It was a bit of a silver lining for the Canucks. And I don't know if they move forward with experimenting with that more because, Hughes is coming back. He didn't get suspended. Like, he'll be playing in Boston tomorrow. They'll be together. But just all in all, I think that just maybe talking to Foot saw something. And if there are more struggles with Susie and Myers and all the rest of them, maybe them splitting those two guys up will be a little easier based on, what we saw on Saturday. Now, speaking of which, before we get out of here, one last note. Somebody wants us to talk about Tim Stützle, or that dude or whatever, nailing Niels Höglander from behind with 4 minutes left in the game, I think, and it leading to a brouhaha and it leading to Ottawa somehow getting a power play. Again, Canucks fans, and I want us to be optimistic. I want us to be positive. Our team deserves it. If one of your takeaways last game was, okay, yeah, the Canucks had a 4-1 lead, but they almost blew it. That's a sign of a bad team. I don't like that. You need some help. Go to therapy, because the Canucks, for the final 5 minutes of that game, were playing two teams. They were playing the referees too. The referees lost complete control of that game. They did. And the Canucks were already dealing with so much, and they had to deal with some more. And I know we almost blew it, right? Ottawa had a last-second shot to tie up the game, but don't take that for nothing. Just throw that away. The Canucks impressed the F out of me on Saturday. I know Ottawa's a bad team, but they did the most until they had to play two teams.
Yeah, it was like you're right. The refs kind of put their whistles away for a bit there, and all hell broke loose. But good on Höglander for kind of standing up for himself. I know Tim Stützle. Obviously, we don't know much about him here in Vancouver because Ottawa's on a relevant team. Tim Stützle likes to throw his weight around, right? And he's probably a little bit pissed off too. They got laid out by EP40, the alien himself. So. Yeah, I mean, look, what you want to see when the game goes to chaos like that is the Canucks and guys standing up for each other, and I think they absolutely did that. So there's going to be moments like that throughout an NHL season where we criticize the refs, but all you can do as teammates is stand up for each other, and the Canucks did that on Saturday. And
Höglander did that, man. Höglander stood up for himself, not taking any ish from Tim Stützle, whatever, and maybe that gets Höglander back into the action. And if we're going to talk about Tim Stützle, that dude, again, the Canucks set the tone early on in that game after, ironically, they killed off that penalty, that 5-minute major. But before that, it was Pettersson nailing Tim, like just absolutely obliterating him in the first period. And that's a dog. And for all those people that did not believe in Pettersson ever having a chance to come back, like, I'm not saying eat your words, but just sit back and relax and enjoy the show, because Pettersson is that guy. He really, really is. And not a lot of players can do what he's doing. Pavel Datsyuk-esque, Peter Forsberg-esque, Elias Pettersson-esque. Anyways, hit the like button, hit the links in the bio below as well. Join the Discord, talk about the Canucks while you're on the toilet or when you wake up in the morning. Again, the like button goes a long way. Me and Trevor trying to take our girls out to a double date in early February to watch Nelly Furtado at BC Place. So again, every like will go a long way. If you're new to the show, subscribe, do your thing. Speaking of which, Beggsy, sign us out.
All right. Let's go to Nelly Furtado, baby. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, make sure you go subscribe and like this video on YouTube. And on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a good old 5-star review. Coming up this week, again, the Canucks got a lot of games, including Tuesday against Boston, Wednesday against Pittsburgh, Friday at noon against the Buffalo Sabres. What the... one of the things I do want to touch on, though, is you look at the standings. Right now, the Canucks are out of a playoff spot. And, hey, guess what? American Thanksgiving around the corner. Does that matter, okay?
Whoa!
We'll get into more news and notes about your Vancouver Canucks throughout the week here. So stay locked on to Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan. And once again, you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.